Welcome to Wellness Spring. In today's episode, I'm delighted to introduce the beautiful soul, Taryn Vasilev. Taryn is an artist, healer, and spiritual guide who weaves together creativity, mindfulness, and connection with spirit. From transformative retreats to her gallery and workspace in the Shire, she also brings a unique blend of art, meditation, and psychic development to her work. Together, we'll explore how Taryn supports both children and adults on their evolutionary journey, and she gives great tips for you to start right now. Plus, she is offering one lucky listener a wonderful gift. Tune in to discover what.
Okay.
So, welcome to Wellness Spring, Taryn. It's so lovely to have you on the show.
Thank you, Beverley. I'm absolutely delighted to be here with you.
And from our chats, I know you do absolutely incredible work. But before we dive in, could you please tell the listeners a little bit about yourself, where you grew up? Did you always want to be an artist and so forth?
Oh, that's a beautiful story because, yes, spirit come in at a very young age for me. I was able to communicate, and I thought everybody had that ability. And I had these beautiful light beings come in and guide me. So I've been able to draw by the time that I was walking, but I never fulfilled that artist niche until leaving high school. I worked in an art supply store, and at 16 I left school and really honed in my creative ventures through that art space. And then later on in life, I opened my own gallery, which I held art classes and spiritual development courses and kind of really dived in from there. Yes.
Because you mentioned the word spirit and spiritual a few times. Um, can you tell us, are either your parents spiritual? What was it like growing up? And, because I've dealt a lot with children who are opening up and receiving guided messages, and the parents freak out. How did
Yes. It
you?
was absolutely awful. I was called liar. I was called the devil's child because I grew up in a very religious family. It wasn't so much religious, but it was just not spoken of. So even the word divine was very foreign to me, but it was that I was. It was funny. I remember this conversation, and I was 7 years old, and my teacher said, "So what do you believe in?" And I never forget this moment. It was like, I believe in the divine. I believe in source energy. And here, this wasn't language that was used in my home. So it was something that was given to me. And I learned that I couldn't share it because it wasn't received. My elder sister, she had a very beautiful gift as well. She was very sensitive. So I do believe it was in my family line. I mean, mum was very much, a very social person. She was very business orientated. My whole life, was running two businesses at a time. So it was a very busy household. So yeah, I kind of developed it in my own way. But an interesting story is that, at the age of 17, it was just getting to a point that I was very isolated with this gift. I found myself drawn to an older community, wanting to be around matured, people, because I couldn't really connect with my youth in that way that I needed. And I had this beautiful Reiki master, and she was my first mentor step in, and I was just turning 17. And she put me under her wing and helped me understand energy and helped me how to, and I don't like to use the word manipulate, but it's learning to, hold the energy and understand it and work with it. And my whole body runs in shivers talking about her, because I wouldn't be here today if I didn't learn those techniques.
Wow. And what do you do for children um, that are experiencing, messages from the divine, as you call it, and so forth?
Well, that's amazing. So it took me, I didn't have my children until I was in my 40s. So I had children later on in life. And it kind of, I love doing children's workshops. It's one of my favorite things to do in the gallery. And it's really helping children connect to their life force energy, their center, to understand their own discernment of, because I teach that, spirit doesn't live outside of our body, it lives within our body. And it's helping children, people of all ages, to come back to that center, to help them understand and reconnect to their power, because that is where true spirit lies, within themselves. Yeah. But talking about, external spiritual energy, messages, I've met a lot of children. I am also an art therapist for children, and I work with some very gifted young children that are understanding. But I don't like to take them too deeply into connecting with spirit so much, because I feel that they've got their whole life to experience it. So I really nurture their own discernment, their own abilities, to feel the strength and to feel protected in their own skin. And teach them little prayers, teach them, modalities like through painting or through crystals, to connect back to themselves so they can feel safe, because it scares a lot of children, I have to say. Yeah, it doesn't, not so scare, but it's like I'm not using the right word there, but it can startle children. That's what I
Yeah.
want to use. Yeah.
Well, I've had a similar background to you. My
Mm.
mother was gifted. She was clairvoyant, clairessence, clairaudience, clair everything. But when I started expressing my gift, she told me, shh, keep it a secret, because
Yeah.
she didn't want me bullied at school and she was too frightened. And probably similar to what you're saying, she wanted me to have a normal, whatever normal is, upbringing and in school, so that I wouldn't feel different and isolated. And yeah, it can be scary from a lot of people that I've met, because especially I've done psychiatric nursing, and
Mm.
a lot of people think their kids are having a psychotic episode when they're talking about, they see spirits, angels or whatever in front of them, or they're hearing voices. So,
Mm.
I think it's important to have someone like you to hold people's hands, the children's hands, and also allow them to be their true authentic self. Because I believe when I paint, I'm not at your standard, but I paint for fun. It's you get lost in space,
Oh, that's
and
right.
that's when you're with all that is. Time has no meaning. Like, my partner
Mm.
will come in and my tea's gone cold. I'll have several cups of cold teas, and you're just in that moment and nothing
Yeah.
else exists. And I
Oh,
think, if
that's
I had a coach like you when I was younger, and I think because we're talking now about going a paradigm shift into the space of love,
mm.
and peace and harmony. And I think it's important, for children to realize, it is safe because you mentioned safe a few times, and you know, it's okay to have these experiences.
That's right. That's right. I wish that I had a mother that was so nurturing,
Yeah,
and because we don't want to open the children to too much either. We want to keep them,
yeah,
feeling that safe and that protected, and that, that it's okay to teaching them that discernment. It's very powerful. Yeah.
yeah.
Mm.
And also, we're talking about safe and scared and fear. Like, obviously, you mentioned COVID, and that put a lot of fear into the world. And since not even probably before that, there's been a lot of mental issues. Like I've been traveling around Australia in a camper van, and I know for a fact that once every 10 days, a farmer commits suicide. And
Mm.
suicide is huge. Like the town I grew up in Wales, um, it, the suicide got so bad, it's the highest in Europe. They stopped publishing. You know, it was children, adults, people of all different backgrounds, and
Mm.
it's happening. And I personally think a lot of it from the scientists and farmers I've met are to do with the chemicals that have been
Mm.
sprayed in the land. You know, there's scientific evidence, but nobody talks about it. I'm just wondering how much you've
Nobody.
encountered.
Yeah, a lot. As probably your viewers aren't aware, a little bit of my background is that I do have clairvoyant abilities, and I do work with my mediumship abilities as well. It it does creep in, and it is going to creep in a lot more. We are going to see a lot more of that energy come in because it's frequency. So I understand, working with different frequencies and different vibrations, and the people that that are connected with the suicides. I try not to, because the energy every time a suicide comes in through my mediumship abilities, it takes a lot of energy from me, because it's a very it's like a heavy vibration. It's a very dense,
Mm.
heavy vibration that comes in through the suicide. But yes, I am seeing this happen a lot more, because it's a frequency. That's how I see it, and the people can't attune to that frequency. They can't handle what's coming in, and they choose to opt out. That's what I feel,
Mm.
the suicide. Yes, I'm not so you're getting to see a lot more of this because you do a lot of regional, but it's not talked about so much. I'm in the Sutherland Shire, which is the highest suicide rate in Australia.
Oh, wow.
I have a lot of clients that work in the police force, that come to see me, that working through their PTSDs, pulling, you know, working with that, learning to deal with that energy, because it is very shocking that people want to take their own life. But it's also very shocking for the people like us, um, that we feel that energy and that vibration. It's very dense. Yes. Mm.
Yeah. And also, before they're suicidal, obviously people are very depressed and anxious, and there's a
Mm.
lot of bullying at school and
Mm.
so
Mm.
forth. How do
Yeah.
you help people through this, Taryn?
So this is what I was just speaking about before. I work with a lot of people that are in grief stage as well. It's like, how can I say this? How I'm able to help is that I bring in, the light. I bring in the
Yeah.
positivity in their lives. I bring in the hope. I bring in, you know, I work on their Akashic timeline records. We all have an Akashic timeline where I'm allowed to, if with permission, to jump in on that soul's timeline and work with past events, work with present events, and work with future events. And I find that when I bring in the future events, I can bring in hope and positivity and bring in situations where it can come with a warning, or it can come with, you know, really amazing things for them to look forward to. And that's what I feel that I can help, you know, on the evolution of the soul's level, because this is where we're at. We're at a time that I've watched, and I have to say 30 years, because I've been doing the energy work for 30 years now, you know, from the age of 17. So it's been, on so many different levels of even me discovering those different levels of the evolution of the human soul. But what the feedback that I get from clients is that, you know, I'm able to bring in clarity, I'm able to bring in evidence, and I'm able to bring in hope for that soul to evolve, to kind of, you know, elevate, because this is what we're needing to do now on the human evolutionary scale, is that we're needing to raise our vibration, we're needing to raise our frequency, we're needing to remove the heavy metal detoxes in our body, we're needing to move more, we're needing to connect with, you know, our sixth sense, to be able to know that, you know, there are these beautiful light beings that are working with humanity at the moment. They wanting to see us survive, they wanting to see us evolve, you know. But I have to not be naive. There is also a lot of darkness out there. There is also a lot of, you know, human and beings that working from other forces that aren't wanting to see us evolve, that aren't wanting us to see. But what I always teach is that light will always prevail, that, you know, when we connect into that higher frequency, that vibration of ourselves, that is where the good stuff is going to be coming in. Did that
Yes,
answer?
and you did a marvelous job, and
Oh,
I love the way you say light always prevails,
mm,
because I truly believe that as well. And
mm.
tell us about your workshops, because I know you run several, so people can get a deeper feel of what you're doing. Because you've mentioned Reiki, that that was your first mentor. I'm
Mm.
also a Reiki master, and for me, I had such a profound experience. It actually saved my life, and I've used it on many occasions. I found all the courses I've done, Reiki brings me to a much deeper, profound level.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I incorporate, my gifts into my Reiki teachings. As I said, I had a master put me under her wing at a very young age, and I've used, you know, but I work on more of a celestial energy as well, because I work with the angels. I work with these beautiful light beings that come down and assist me to help shift and move. You know, I work with, a lot of abuse, a lot of trauma, a lot of addiction. So in clients, and you know, the results that I've had has just been absolutely profound and life-changing for so many human beings on this planet. So that work for me will never leave, because I you know it's what I'm here to do, to be in service to spirit, to be in service to humanity. And I've dedicated a lot of my life to bring through that information from these evolved beings, from these ascendant beings. And, it hasn't always been a blessing. In some ways it's been very hard. It's not easy work for me, because it is 24/7, and it's like I do pick and living a sensitive life. It's hard because you're discerning all the, I call it all the drudge, all the ick. It's constant work to kind of remove the ick. And it's the debris, and it's the energy, it's the thoughts, it's the transmitters of the human minds, through all the depression, through all the negative self-talk, through all the fear, through all the limiting beliefs, that human beings, we don't even realize that we're having these negative thoughts. And it's so beautiful to meet a person like yourself, is that's so positive. And this is where, I form workshops of that collective movement of people that are wanting that collective energy to help elevate themselves, to raise the frequency, to raise the vibration of the planet, of consciousness, of humanity, because this is the energy that I'm working in. So to talk, I feel like I'm getting a little bit offline, but so the workshops that I do are developing all your senses, developing yourself, developing, whatever it is that you have. We all have unique gifts. Every single person on this planet has beautiful, unique gifts. And if they're wanting to tune into them, I'm able to help birth them and bring them to the surface and help them work with these gifts. Yeah. I also do beautiful animal medicine workshops where I help people connect into their animal totem, and bring through beautiful animal spirits and paint them with them, which is a beautiful workshop. I also do goddess workshop, goddess retreats, is where people, where I've got a beautiful one coming up in the spring equinox of next month, where I take people to a place and birth their goddess self, birth that higher vibrational frequency within them. Yeah. And paint her and love her and celebrate her. Another one is I also teach Reiki. And what else do I do? And
You teach meditation.
and meditation. Oh my goodness. So I hold meditation circles every week, and take people on that beautiful journey of, self-discovery, and the tools of meditation and how it can benefit you in this life. Yeah.
Oh,
So
wow, you
I feel
unpacked.
like
No, don't be sorry. You're being your true, authentic self. And this is what people want more of when we're speaking from our heart and letting the messages flow. And yeah, just for the listeners, during COVID lockdown, a friend of mine sent me a picture of a card. She did a card reading online with me, just said, choose a card. And they were your Light of the Sea cards.
oh, got
And I fell in love with it.
yes, yes.
Yes, yes. But
Well,
what I didn't realize at the time, because Taryn actually downloaded the messages and she painted the pictures on all these beautiful cards, and the messages were so profound. But I'd actually, when I moved us first from Australia to France, I I I was in Spain first, and I got a job on a boat taking guests out swimming, and there were jellyfish in the sea, and one of them flicked and it ended up on the back of my leg. Like, never in my life had I been stung by a jellyfish before.
oh,
And then it happened again in France and a few other places. And then my Reiki master told me, it represents rebirthing, because you mentioned birthing and this is like rebirthing. So do you
Yeah.
want to tell us a bit about your cards? Because Jackie mentioned that you teach people to channel and paint their cards.
Yeah, I've mentored 6 people to bring through their own deck, and I also paint cards. A lot of people, that don't want to go down that artistic road, they get me to paint their cards. So I've painted a lot of decks, which channeled from spirit. Because we've got lots of time, right? I don't watch much TV. But thank you so much for bringing up Light of the Sea, because Light of the Sea helped me get off the hamster wheel, and it was in COVID. I had Azure's Den for 12 years. I created a beautiful spiritual hub, a retail store, a crystal store. I had famous medium clairvoyants all over the world come and work in this space. And unfortunately, COVID closed me down, uh, like many businesses in Australia. But what was so beautiful is because I grew up on the ocean and I moved away from the ocean, and it was like I lost a part of myself.
Yeah.
Not being close to the water. And, my whole life, I was always on the beach, or every water sport you could possibly imagine. I've done it and loved it. And, for some reason I moved in a west, in a place, and stayed there for 15 years, and it was just, I mean, it was lovely. It was by a river, it was by waterways, which kind of still connected me to the water element. But yeah, it was that I moved to the Sutherland Shire in COVID, and it was so beautiful because we moved close to the beach, and I was able to not and get off that hamster wheel, get off the business, drop the rope. I absolutely just dropped the rope, dropped the connection to, the need to serve anybody else, to serve. And it was like, it was service to myself and service to spirit and service to my family. And it put me on this beautiful connection to the jellyfish. And it was like, I relived a moment because I was actually stung by a box jellyfish, and it went into my heart, and I had a near-death experience where it was, and this happened at the age of 22 for me, and it was like, you know, a remembering. So it took me back to that remembering and that connection. So it was like quite a while in between. But this connection gave me back the gift to the purpose of the jellyfish and how I saw the jellyfish. It was, they live a life in a state of trust, flow, of surrender, right? They go, they just go with it. And that's how I see the energy. It's just like when the energy comes in, I've got to surrender to it and I have to trust it. And I go with the flow with it. And that's what the deck of cards I wanted to bring forward, to help people come back to themselves and trust themselves. So I hope
Yeah.
that, yeah,
No,
yeah,
that's truly magical, because for me, I didn't see the back of the card with the picture of the jellyfish. I just thought, right, I've got to have these cards because the message I got on that night was so profound. And I ordered some, and we had a quick chat on the phone about 4 years
yeah,
ago, and then you posted them. So it was
yeah.
really good. And it reminded me, like you're saying, we all have fears. And I
Mm,
use the acronym false evidence appearing real, because most
that's
of the
right.
time, we, especially women, and you're a mother, we worry about things. You
Mm,
talked about sixth sense. We worry about things that usually don't even happen. It's like, and it
Yeah.
made me trust and look within, because it's like, okay, I was helping a lot of people, doing weekly healing circles because people were freaking out about the COVID and the fear monger and so forth. And it was like, okay, just take a deep breath. You're here, you'll help them, and everybody's going to get through this together, and we'll all become so much enlightened after it because everybody had the experience. Some people seen the opportunities and others chose not to. So it was an opportunity to rise and shine. And, you talked about community because it's so important, in my opinion, to have a good community of like-minded people. And I know from our earlier chats, Taryn, you said with your meditation, you feel because of COVID lockdown, you didn't want to sell programs online. You're happy to go live online, but people need a connection with the real person, and they need connection with the other people in the group, and you can have that sharing. So do you want to elaborate on that? Because I know you're
Yeah,
bringing so much love.
thank you, thank you. I've for even where I felt it's so lost because I lost a business of 12 years that I built, you know, it was so beautiful how I did trust and I did surrender and I handed it all over and I went, okay, well, and it was amazing. All these beautiful people just started, showing up in my life, and I was able to really, hold their need, like hold their love and share that love. And community is so important. Straight after as you was Dan, I found the beautiful Kate in the Wellness Hotel, and she was a pioneer in her field, of bringing wellness into the community. And she trusted me to bring the spiritual aspect into her community. And that was amazing. And, from that, I was able to branch out and to have my own gallery space, my own healing center. And, from that space, I've just watched, it grow and how important it is and how special it is and I call it the portal of light, because when we all come together we open this beautiful portal of light, and this light, it's like a ripple effect, and it spreads out to their partners, their children, their friends, and I call it that beautiful ripple effect. And this is what community is. It's like coming together and sharing, positivity, and sharing your light, and sharing gifts and sharing stories. I love, when people feel their story to make it validate for them that they have a platform to be able to share and open in a circle of safety and love, because that's what we've heard it's been for hundreds of years. They always say all you need is love. This is but it is in that loving awareness. And when we really take on, I am loving awareness, it's the vibration of that knowing of who you are. That's what transpires, and that is healing.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Mm.
we're in this I am experience right now. And I love the fact that, you've transformed your life within 5 years. You've not only you changed let go of your physical business, and
Yeah.
now Spirit has guided you to this amazing community. You've connected with Kate, and
Mm.
she's helping debunk all the gunk inside us, as you call it.
Yes.
Do you want to
It's like she
say the
worked on the
connection
physical.
there?
That's
Yeah,
right. And now I'm working with beautiful shamans, and a community of, I've opened this hub to other workers now, life coaches, mentors, astrologers, massage therapists, Pilates, yoga, meditation. So we're working now this is what I've created Evoke Gallery for, is this spiritual hub of enlightened beings working together, you know, for humanity. And it's so powerful. And I feel, you know, I'm just at the right place at the right time. And it's, you know, it's working and it's being received. And, you know, that is inspiration. And the reason why I called it Evoke was so it's, you know, evolution in, sorry, I'm catching my words, because it's invoking that empower within in and it's this community of enlightened beings coming together to help. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think I saw on your website that you actually rent out your space as well for people to do their own retreats.
Absolutely. So or the space is there for the community to use. Anyone that's needing a space, yeah, you're more than welcome.
Oh, that's beautiful. And could you give some practical tools for the listeners, be it to start painting or on their spiritual journey about their evolution?
Yeah.
What could they do?
The first step's always the hardest. You know, staring at a white canvas, it's just,
Uh,
you know, it's not easy. It's not easy. You know, there's some days where, you know, I'll go, okay, why isn't the energy working? How am I not connecting in? Why am I feeling so disconnected? Because we all go through that. You know, I am you and you are me. And this is, I always come in with that statement is because we are a reflection of each other. You know, for anyone that
yeah,
is taking these tools, you know, what we give out is what we get back. Yeah. And a lot of
yeah,
that's just, you know, the spiritual laws. But, you know, how I always love to start, what's the message that I can give back is that, you know, stillness is so important. And you know, we're living in such a busy world where, you know, we've got lists to get done, we've got jobs to do, we've got people to see, we've got people to call, we've got emails to get back to. It can get so busy and overwhelming. So dedicate some routine time for yourself. Dedicate even getting up half an hour earlier in the morning and practice devotion to yourself, even if it's just a mantra that you can repeat to yourself. Find a beautiful mantra, an I am mantra, whatever it is. You know, everybody needs that space to be able to connect back into themselves, you know, but you have to make time. It is a devotion to make that time, and it's so important. um and start, just, you know, pick up, if you're wanting to paint, you know, find a picture that inspires you, find a scenery or a landscape, or, you know, it could be a loved one, it could be a portrait. Find something that you connect with and love, you know, because once we connect with that love and love of wanting to do it, that is when the creative energy starts. That's when the energy opens, and that's when you'll find a project that you want to just keep going back to. Yeah.
oh, that is beautiful. And if there was, I always ask my guests, if there was one thing you could do to change the world, what would it be?
Discovering your breath.
Oh, that is beautiful.
We all forget to breathe, and this is a reminder to just breathe. Take one breath at a time. There is so much power in your breath. It is your life force energy. It is, you know, a reminder to just breathe. Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree. And as it's a wellness show, what is your wellness go-to?
My wellness go-to, I would have to say my juicing. I love fasting. I love juicing. I love doing, if it's just a 3-day juice fast. You know, there are so many great tools out there, even if it's a 3-day water fast. Oh, the profound um, enlightenment, the energy that you receive once you're cleansing yourself inside and out, connecting with the high vibrational frequencies from the plants. You know, that's plant medicine. You know, our
Yeah.
fruit and vegetables, that's medicine. And, you know, because sometimes we can fall off the cart and sometimes we can, you know, just and I do it, you know. I'm a convenience eater sometimes because life can be so busy and we can just conveniently grab some takeout and, you know, processed foods. But, you know, coming back to the goodness of the plant medicine and juicing, and just there's some beautiful awakenings that happen throughout that process, and discoveries of yourself, and the strength that, how, you know, that you can do that without, with, I'm not saying not eating, because eating is so important, but it's just fasting. Look into it. It's a beautiful you know, wellness thing that
Wow.
everybody can do. Yeah.
Yeah. So, dear listeners, on that note,
Mhm.
if you want anything about wellness and well-being, and if you feel drawn to be creative, you can contact our lovely Taryn for artwork, for art therapy, for mindfulness, for any um, group gatherings.
Oh.
And yeah, so obviously I'll share your website, but what's the best place for people to contact you?
I've got everything's on my website, everything that you need to know about me and the services that I offer, upcoming events. I travel, I'm always at Mind, Body and Spirit festivals as well. Um, and I'm trying to get around Australia. I'm trying to bring
Yeah.
workshops to different states, retreats to different states. So yeah, look out. Hopefully I can come near you very soon and work with you, Beverley. I can't wait to get to the wellness spring. Your beautiful offerings and what you do. It's just, it's transcending, you know, so many people in your community. So I thank you for all the work that you're doing. Yeah.
Thank you. And just to close, is there anything that you'd like to share with the listeners?
Well, I got stumbled on my words before, evoke, and I wanted, the reason why I called it evoke, it was empowering, EVOKE, which is empowering visions of oneness through knowledge and enlightenment. And that's what was given to
Oh,
me from
wow.
Spirit.
Wow. So here's to everybody experiencing Evoke.
Yes,
Thank
absolutely, because it is the oneness. This is how humanity will evolve, and, you know, for our children's children and growth, it's all through oneness. It's all through the same conscious connection, and it is source energy, and that is oneness.
Yeah. Oh, that's wonderful. So thank you so much for giving up your precious time. And
Thank
it's been lovely to have you on the show. And as Taryn mentioned, listeners, we are talking about Taryn holding a retreat on my lovely land that you can see behind. So we'll
you.
keep you posted on that too. Thank
Oh,
you.
what an artist retreat. Look at that inspiration, those mountains. Oh, I can't wait. I'm so excited. So anyone who's wanting that, oh, to feel this energy that we're opening today, it's so powerful and beautiful, and this is what we're going to bring. Mm. Thanks,
Yeah.
Beverly.